Babyface Nelson was not famous because people admired him. He was famous because people feared him. Among the outlaws of the Great Depression, Nelson stood apart. Not for intelligence, not for charm, but for violence. His real name was Lester Joseph Gillis. He was born in 1908 in Chicago, a city already struggling with crime, poverty, and corruption. From an early age, Gillis showed signs of aggression and instability. He joined street gangs as a teenager, stealing cars, robbing stores, fighting constantly. Prison came early. Instead of reforming him, it made him worse. Behind bars, violence became routine. Fear became currency. And Gillis learned that intimidation brought power. When he was released, he was no longer interested in small crimes. He wanted control. He wanted attention. And he wanted confrontation. His nickname, Babyface, came from his youthful appearance. But nothing about him was innocent. Those who met him described his eyes as cold, unpredictable, almost excited by danger. By the early 1930s, America was collapsing under the weight of the Great Depression. Banks failed. Jobs vanished. Crime exploded. For men like Nelson, chaos was opportunity. He moved into bank robbery with extreme aggression. Unlike other criminals, he did not avoid gunfights. He escalated them. Witnesses described Nelson firing wildly, even when escape was possible. He seemed to enjoy it, especially when law enforcement was involved. Nelson eventually crossed paths with John Dillinger's gang. Dillinger was strategic, careful, focused on survival. Nelson was none of those things. Tension grew quickly between them. Dillinger saw Nelson as a liability. Nelson saw Dillinger as weak. Still, their paths remained connected. As the FBI expanded its authority, Nelson became a priority target. Agents quickly realized he was different. Most criminals ran. Nelson chased. In multiple encounters, Nelson shot police officers at close range. He did not hesitate. He did not warn. Each killing increased the pressure. The FBI shifted from arrest to elimination. The final confrontation came in November 1934 in Barrington, Illinois. Federal agents attempted to stop Nelson's vehicle. What followed was one of the most violent shootouts in FBI history. Bullets tore through cars. Glass shattered. 2 agents were killed almost instantly. Nelson was hit repeatedly. Still, he kept fighting. Bleeding heavily, barely able to stand, Nelson managed to escape the scene. He collapsed shortly afterward and died. He was only 25 years old. News of his death spread quickly. There was no sympathy, no mourning crowds, only relief. Even among criminals, Babyface Nelson was feared, not respected, feared. His death marked a turning point. The era of romanticized outlaws was ending. Federal law enforcement was becoming dominant. Violence would no longer be tolerated. It would be crushed. Babyface Nelson did not become a hero. He became a warning, a reminder of what happens when chaos, rage, and power collide. His story is not about rebellion. It is about destruction. And that is why his name still echoes through history.